The circus arrives without warning. No announcements precede it, no paper notices, no mentions or advertisements in local newspapers. It is simply there, when, yesterday, it was not. The towering tents are striped in white and black, no golds and crimsons to be seen, no color at all, save for the neighboring trees. Black and white stripes on gray sky. Even what little ground is visible from outside is black and white, painted or powdered, or treated with some other circus trick. But it's not open for business. Not just yet. The first time I read this story, I felt like I was part of it. The same thing happened the second time, and the third. Now I'm giving you the chance to feel that same fantastic immersion. How, you might ask? Well, the main character is actually you. So be prepared, for you're about to have the most wonderful night at the circus. But not just any circus. I'll be taking you to the Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern. Within hours, everyone in town has heard about it. It is impressive and unusual news, the sudden appearance of a mysterious circus. People marvel at the staggering height of the tallest tents. They stare at the clock as it's just inside the gates, that no one can properly describe. And the black sign painted in white letters that hangs upon the gates reads, "Opens at nightfall, closes at dawn." What kind of circus is only open at night, people ask. No one has a proper answer, yet, as dusk approaches, there is a substantial crowd of spectators gathering outside the gates. You are amongst them, of course. Your curiosity got the better of you, as curiosity is wont to do. The circus looks abandoned and empty, but you think perhaps you can smell caramel wafting through the evening breeze, a subtle sweetness at the edge of the cold. When the tents are all aglow, sparkling against the night sky, the sign appears. At first it's only a random pattern of lights, but as more of them ignite, it becomes clear that they are aligned in scripted letters. First a C is distinguishable, a Q, oddly, several E's. When the final bulb pops alight, and the smoke and sparks dissipate, it is finally legible, this elaborate, incandescent sign. Leaning to your left to gain a better view, you see that it reads, "Le Cirque de Rêves." Some in the crowd smile knowingly, while others frown and look questioningly at their neighbors. A child near you tugs on your mother's sleeve, begging to know what it says. "The Circus of Dreams," comes the reply. The girl smiles delightedly. Then the iron gates shudder and unlock, seemingly by their own volition. They swing outward, inviting the crowd inside. Now, the circus is open. Now, you may enter. In this tent, suspended high above you, there are people, acrobats, trapeze artists, aerialists. There are girls in feathered costumes who spin at various heights, suspended by ribbons that they can manipulate, marionettes who control their own strings. Normal chairs with legs and backs act as trapezes. In the center of the tent, there is a man in a tuxedo, suspended by one leg that is tied with a silver cord, hands clasped behind his back. He begins to move, extremely slowly. His arms reach out from his sides, first one and then the other, until they hang below his head. He starts to spin, faster and faster, until he's only a blur at the end of a rope. He stops, suddenly, and he falls. The audience dives out of the way below him, clearing a space of bare, hard ground below. You cannot bear to watch. You cannot look away. And he stops, at eye level with the crowd, suspended by the silver rope that now seems endlessly long. Top hat, undisturbed on his head, arms calmly by his sides. As the crowd regains its composure, he lifts a gloved hand and removes his hat. Bending at the waist, he takes a dramatic, inverted bow. Standing on the platform in the midst of the crowd, high enough that they can be viewed clearly from all angles, are two figures, still as statues. The woman wears a dress something akin to a bridal gown, constructed for a ballerina, white and frothy, and laced with black ribbons that flutter in the night air. Her companion is a handsome man, somewhat taller than she, in an impeccably tailored black pinstriped suit. They stand entwined, but not touching, their heads tilted toward each other, lips frozen in the moment before or after the kiss. Though you watch them for some time, they do not move. No stirring of fingertips or eyelashes. No indication that they're even breathing. The longer you watch, the more you can detect the subtlest of motions. The change in the curve of a hand as it hovers near an arm. The shifting angle of a perfectly balanced leg. Each of them always gravitating toward the other. Yet still, they do not touch. The sign outside this tent is accompanied by a small box full of smooth black stones. The text instructs you to take one with you as you enter. In the center of the room, there's a pool, a pond enclosed within a black stone wall that is surrounded by white gravel. You sit on the wall, turning the black stone over in your fingers. The stillness of the tent becomes a quiet melancholy. Memories begin to creep forward from hidden corners of your mind. Passing disappointments, lost chances, and lost causes, heartbreaks, and pain, and desolate, horrible loneliness. Sorrows you thought long forgotten mingle with still fresh wounds. The stone feels heavier in your hand. When you drop it in the pool to join the rest of the stones, you feel lighter, as though you've released something more than a smooth, polished piece of rock. The only illumination in this tent comes from the fire, a radiant, flickering white. The artist on this platform holds pieces of flame in her bare hands, and she forms them into snakes and flowers and all manner of shapes. Sparks fly from shooting stars, birds flame and disappear like miniature phoenixes in her hands. She smiles at you as you watch the white flames in her hand become, with the deft movement of her fingers, a boat, a book, a heart, a fire. Seated on the ground, nestled in an alcove on striped silk pillows, are two women. One plays the flute. The other woman carefully removes the lid from a basket before taking out a flute of her own and adding a counter melody to the first. Two white cobras coil around each other as they rise from the woven basket in perfect time with the music. For a moment they seem to be one snake and not two, and then they separate again, moving down the sides of the basket, gliding onto the ground quite close to your feet. One of them hisses softly, and the other responds in kind. They continue to circle as music and the incense rise into the starry sky above. As they rear and hiss and jump at each other, you are distracted by the fact that they are both no longer stark white, but a perfect ebony black. It is late, so there's no line for the fortune teller. While outside the cool night air is scented with caramel and smoke, this tent is warm and smells of incense and roses and beeswax. The fortune teller's face is hidden behind a fine black veil, but the light catches her eyes as she smiles. She refers to things she could not know with uncanny specificity. She tells you facts you already knew, information you might have guessed, possibilities you cannot fathom. Before you leave, the fortune teller reminds you that nothing is set in stone. The step through the gates that takes you from painted ground to bare grass feels heavy. You think, as you walk away from the Cirque du Rêve and into the creeping dawn, that you felt more awake within the confines of the circus. You are no longer quite sure which side of the fence is the dream